This PSA was brought to you by the Peter G Show.
You may have second thoughts after the show.
Don't drink the Foster. We're really talented. We should get Oscars.
Just pick out a car, for Christ's sake.
No, hi, my name is Peter.
Yeah, I want.
Here's good.
Yeah.
Madam Perry.
I need to get back in the genie bottle.
Louis from Pennsylvania, you're on. He likes it. It's showtime.
Peter G Show, Peter G Show, divorced dad, single dad, divorced dad, single dad, Peter G Show.
That's right. Showtime. Wednesday. Hey, everybody. Just a little public service reminder for those of you who might not be on the East Coast. It's just a minute after 6 p.m. and it's dark out. Let the bitching begin. Swear. Because I'm not necessarily a morning person. I will work into the wee hours of the morning, but I don't get up in the morning unless I have things to do, which that happens a lot. But the thing is, if I can, I'd rather start my day later and work into the evening. That's my musical genes, still not conforming to getting older. I feel good. Ah! Anyway, hope everybody's doing well because, not only is it dark out, winter is quickly upon us, starting to get chillier. Although this past week here in Southern California, we had close to 90-degree weather. Windy as hell today. A few years ago, we had really bad fires back in 2019. I mean, really bad fires because it gets dry and super windy for a little bit, and that's really bad for this area. But winter is quickly coming upon us, and naturally with winter comes the holidays. We're going to be talking a lot about, I'm going to try not to get kicked off of platforms these next 45 days or so because I want to talk about the holidays, although I can't help but keep talking about current events because we're living in a time of hell, and it just bugs me. But I'm going to try to watch it because I want to stay on all the platforms and not be banned. So that way I can have all my haters be able to write to me on a regular basis and tell me what a friggin' idiot I am. Oh, I love them. I love them. God bless them. Speaking of God bless, tonight, where am I? I'm right here. I could pinch myself. I just did. Tonight, he's been on this show annually for probably the past 2 years. I think this is going on his third year or his fourth year. Either way, he's revisiting us from the East Coast. A man who knows all about giving. Baltimore's Pastor Ray Poellot's going to be on the show tonight. Those of you who may recall, again, he's on a few shows from the past, and he's right about this time of year. In fact, I think it's 1 year and 6 days ago he was on this show. And he helps the homeless. He's very predominant in that area of taking care of the homeless in his area for people who are just whacked out of their minds on drugs, alcohol, just homeless, whatever. They sleep in tents in the snow. And he goes out there and gives them clean clothes or fresh socks and propane heaters, sleeping bags, things like that. We're going to touch on that as we do every year. But he's also an ex-Marine and somebody who cares about this country as well. And we're going to talk about everyday stuff because Baltimore, to me, is just a huge mess. They're in the news a lot, as opposed to, everybody's in the news, but considering the media doesn't cover things very well, they manage to catch things. And I want to talk to him because he lives there, and nothing like really getting what's going on with the people, just like Hawaii and things like that. It's best if you can talk to the people on the ground than the hearsay and the media. I trust nobody on the media anymore. Don't even trust me. I always tell people, do your own homework. I'm just putting it out there. But you'll be on in a few short minutes. Speaking of next week, as I always do, because I want you to get ready, make notes, take the evening off, do whatever you got to do. I got a good one. This has been a year in the making too, and we'll talk about it next week. But next week, November 15th, Wednesday, I'm going to have entrepreneur, mentor, motivational speaker, author of Amazon bestseller of the book Breaking Why. Hacking and Rebuilding Strategic Emotions for Authentic Success. Mr. Frankie Russo is going to be on the show, and he's got this book, and he sent it to me just recently, and he even signed it for me, which I really dig. And it's funny how we came about through a friend of a friend, and he's here, going to be with us next week, so I'm excited. That's next Wednesday, November 15th. Motivational speaker, author, Mr. Frankie Russo, and I wouldn't miss it if I were you, because he's a go-getter. He's got a lot going on, and he helped this person that I had met last year, and this person raved about him. He said he's the bomb. So check it out. All right, I would do that. And a reminder again, hope you're subscribing to YouTube. The podcasts are doing good, like the audio podcasts. If you want, if you're busy and you can't watch, because I realize it takes a lot to sit and watch a 1 hour plus show, but you can take it on the road with you. Put an earbud in your ear, Google Peter G Show podcast, listen to the audio version. I love the visual version, but the audio version's, great too. I wouldn't knock it down. It's the next best thing to be in there, but subscribe to YouTube. I'm trying to stay on this platform. They are making it so hard for me, but if not, I tell you, subscribe multiple places. Your Facebook, Official Peter G Show, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, BitChute, Rumble. I'm on 11 different platforms. I mean, just, if all else fails, Google Peter G Show. You'll see a ton of stuff, but that's how that works. But anyway, moving right along before we get to Pastor Ray, a couple more minutes. I don't know if anybody caught this. There was a little clip. We had a Halloween party at the office here in the writer's room. And, sometimes things are going good, but life is hard right now. Everybody's preoccupied. People are busy, and I totally get it. And it's a struggle. So, we had this, I said, let's have a little get together for Halloween, and let's get together and everybody dress up. Come on, we'll have a Halloween contest and stuff, dress up. And so, I was kind of looking forward to it, and things can, you can't always plan on things. I mean, things just kind of go. Sometimes they've been a blast. Don't ask, don't tell kind of blast. And sometimes things are like, but that's life. That's life. As long as you wake up, you keep on moving forward, we'll try again. But I just wanted to play a clip in case you missed it. I put it out there, but in case you missed it, I just want you to catch with a little piece of the after event of the Halloween party. So here, check this out.
No, for real, you didn't win?
There was no contest.
What do you mean there was no contest?
Let me explain this to you.
What do you mean there was no contest?
There was no contest.
What's the thing? Well, there were flyers everywhere.
There was what?
There was flyers.
Flies. Yes. They stunk like shit. There was no contest. Comprende, amigo? What is your problem? Every time I try to do something evil, I get foiled. It never ends. I tell you to turn that off. I'm not going to tell you again.
Life is a bitch. Sometimes I just want to go to my Battlestar and just get in the tub and soak my nuts. But then I think to myself, just keep going. Keep your chin up. And don't let your laser beam lay low. In the meantime, I strongly suggest we hear from our good friends at Clean Star Products with their money-saving fuel additive DX1 driver. I use it in the Battlestar. It works great. We'll be right back.
Let us help you with the high price of fuel. Hello, I'm Ty Thompson at CleanStarProducts.com. We can optimize your engine, saving you money and gas. Here's how. Our program works the same with gasoline and diesel engines. Whether you're using a car pack or SUV pack, the instructions are the same. Add 1 bottle to your engine oil, and each time you change your oil, add 1 bottle to the fuel tank each and every fuel fill-up. It's that easy. You get 10% fuel economy on average, lower emissions, and increased horsepower. DX1 sells for $2 an ounce, so for just a few dollars a fuel tank, you can optimize your engine, saving you money and gas. Come on, give it a try. It's the finest green grade oil in the world from a California environmental company. You're gonna feel it when you drive. Order online today, we'll get it out right away. CleanStarProducts.com/shop.
Hey, thanks, Darth Vader. All I can say is these guys have a product that works. If I were you and you're interested but you have questions, go to www.cleanstarproducts.com. There's a phone number on their website. You can call them directly. They'll answer all your questions, all of them. Easy to talk to people because they care. And again, they have a product that works. And I'll tell you what, if you decide to purchase the DX1 driver for your automobile or trucks to save fuel, mention the Peter G Show, and you will get 5 bottles for the price of 4. Yes, you heard right. 5 bottles for the price of 4. Just mention the Peter G Show, all right? Let them know that I'm doing something. And again, they're good people, and they have something that actually works. Next. All right, moving right along here. Let's take a sip real quick, and we're going to bring on Pastorraypoellot right now. So here's to all of you, and thank you. Woo! Smooth. All right, without further ado, he's been on the show in the past to talk about the deeds that he does, or at least I want to talk about the deeds that he does and about life in general, because I don't think you really understand what giving is until you see people like this man who goes beyond the call of duty. It's one thing to put a couple of hours in here and there, and that's good. Anything is better than nothing, but this man is full-time service to God and to the people that are underprivileged and or down and out, and the way he puts it, the lost. So without further ado, let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, from Baltimore, Maryland, where it's starting to get colder, I think, over there. We'll find out when we talk to him. Pastorraypoellot. How are you, sir?
Too blessed to be depressed. How you doing, Peter?
I told you. I wish I could say that, but I mean, I'm just grateful, plain grateful, but I'll take it.
It's a way of life.
It is a way of life. You got to keep moving forward, as Darth Vader said.
You said you don't trust yourself, so I got to fact check you. There is no such thing as an ex-Marine. There's only former Marines.
Former? Did I say ex? I apologize.
You did.
I apologize. It just Opa. My apologies. Former Marine. You are correct, sir. I apologize. I meant well. Again, it's a little bit busy around here. The thing is how's the weather just starting to do over there in your neck of the woods?
I think it was 65 today, but next week it probably hit the 30s.
No snow yet?
No.
Okay. So let's do this because there's a lot of newbies. A lot of new people have been coming on and off over the past year. A lot of change, which is good. But why don't you take a second and tell everybody who you are, where you are at, what you do, and then we'll go. We're just going to kind of go from there, okay?
Okay. Well, first off, your little commercial said "angel to the homeless." They may think I'm a devil because I preach so hard to them. Sometimes it scares them.
That's okay.
Yeah. So we go to where the homeless are. By the way, normal people don't do that. It's a calling. It's from God, and we give God all the glory in everything that we do. We go to camps, and I've been doing it for almost 24 years now, so I know homeless in different communities, and I've known it for a long time. We try to not just provide them with periodic meals, because we don't feed them every day, but and the necessities, socks and underwear and jeans, heaters in the winter. But those are just tools, the tools to build trust. And when we've built trust, then our first goal is to introduce people to Jesus. Because I guarantee you, most of the people that are living in tents, they're hopeless, they're lost, they're alone, and their families have rejected them. Sometimes for due cause, probably most of the time. But they need some direction. And so we start off with the little God, which is God, good, orderly direction, and try to get them maybe to just start praying, talking to them about Jesus, encourage them to come to our little church. It's a church without walls. It's literally outside. If it's real bad weather, we go over to a local restaurant, but we always have a hot meal afterwards. The idea is to love them with no strings attached. We don't care what they've done, what they're going through right now. We care, but we can't fix anybody. We can't save anybody. So we just love everybody. And by the grace of God, people will come along. And actually, we had a message on Sunday about knowing what to do, but not doing it. And what you shouldn't do, that's what you do. It's based off of a chapter in the Bible. And one of the fellows called up Monday and he said that message really touched his heart, and he went into treatment, which that's the goal. Introduce him to Jesus, get him into treatment, get him into an apartment.
Some accountability, what would you say the majority now? Because every year, I ask you the same kind of questions because it's I think it's relevant. But what would you say the majority of the homeless people, what their issue is? Is it drugs, alcohol, or just down on their luck, mental disabilities? What is it?
So the one thing that has gone up over last year is mental. Probably really? It's up around 6%, between 6 and 8%. And ever since, I don't remember how many years ago where they deinstitutionalized people and said, here, we're going to give you some medicine and for your bipolar or your schizophrenia, and you're going to be fine. Well, they're fine when they're in an institution, but when they're out and they don't take their medicine, things go out of whack, and then they're out of the system at that point. So that's been increasing quite a bit. Why? And then the rest are drugs and alcohol. Why do you think that is? Well, I have some people that tell me that they think it was partly due to a pandemic or something like that. I don't know why the numbers have increased. I haven't been able to figure it out, but we're starting to see more and more of it. And they're not extreme cases. They are people that are maybe extreme narcissists or something. Then nobody wants to be around them because they're so in love with themselves and they're living in a tent and they think they're God. That type of deal. I would have thought that, with all the fentanyls going on, that was still, number one to. Well, fentanyl is the number one killer out here, and that's across the whole country. Right. We lost a couple of people in the last month. One young lady, we don't know that it was fentanyl. Supposedly she was found in an alley in Baltimore City. Well, she was always with her boyfriend. I've been working with her for 13 years. And a few months ago, she was in Florida. She got clean. She came back. She is vivacious, beautiful young lady, full of life. Got back with her old boyfriend in the same environment. And, I see a lot of people just die from that. Yeah. Most of the people, because right here, Grace says homeless people are the kindest, loving people. What do you find out there? Oh, I think it's the same thing. Grace attends the Church Without Walls, and she's a great friend to every one of them. One of the fellas just moved into an apartment, and she and her husband offered a sofa, just any kind of help that they could do. And Grace makes meals for them. And people respond when they're loved. Now, that doesn't mean that they're angels. They'll oftentimes, probably most of the time, they will tell us lies. They'll say what we want to hear, and that's okay. We just don't take it personal. That's between them and God. We just keep loving on them, and they will come around eventually, or they won't, and they'll die.
I asked you last year, as I do every year, because I know your crowd kind of changes out, although you do have people that hang in there until they do pass away or get better or something. How many people do you think that you lost? Last year, you told me you lost about 20 to 25 people to death of overdoses or not taking care of themselves and dying from other reasons. How many people do you think this year you've lost again?
That I know of, 18. But then we have like 30 that have just gone missing. And that means that they could have been in the streets of Baltimore and murdered or overdosed. Like one of our guys, I think it was a month ago, not 2 blocks from where we hold our church, he passed away in the woods, and some other homeless people knew about it, and they let him lay there for 3 days before anybody contacted the authorities. And that's just fear. They oh man, yeah, we might get involved some way or something like that. Right. I mean, I've had people that overdose, and another homeless person will call me up and have me drive 8 miles to give them Narcan because they don't want to be involved.
Right.
It's crazy. But when it comes to the ones that we deal with in our church, Grace hit it head on. They're just as loving as can be. They love being loved. And who doesn't?
Yeah. But you would think, as a stranger, not wanting, not trusting the homeless, thinking that they're going to steal from you or do something, that's just a natural from people that don't know any better. On average, you're walking down the street because there's so much crazy stuff going on. You kind of keep to yourself and you don't open your arms so easily. It's not easy to do that.
Well, I believe that when you believe in Christ and that you're filled with his Holy Spirit, you get discernment. And also, a lot of the people that are on our team now or as part of the church have come from that background, and they know how to relate to people. God gives them this gift of discernment so that they know if somebody's being about the truth or if they're just pulling their leg. And love tends to reciprocate. We interviewed people for a little movie. We were going to do a documentary a couple years ago. 5 of the people that we interviewed said things like, I don't want an apartment. No, we're not ready. And then the state, after a crisis a few years ago, I'm trying not to get you banned here. The things that went on in like 2019, the state came up with this program to get drug addicts off the street and give them vouchers. Like here they call it Section 8 housing, but this grant program is like get them in for 2 or 3 years. Over 90% of those people that are getting the vouchers are worse into their addiction than they were when they were in their tents.
Why?
They don't have any accountability. If they get a disability, like they're depressed and sometimes they get schizophrenia or bipolar as a result of the addiction. They talk to counselors in the drug treatment centers where they go for methadone or something. They work that program. They get into their apartment, and it's like, now we can have everybody over and have a big party every night.
Yeah. I remember you telling me that they got some people you really weren't into what they were doing because they get all these people and they literally like lit a fire in the living room on the floor, off of the floor or something like that.
Yeah, that one was about 8 or 9 years ago. But we just had one couple got kicked out of their apartment, and the young man got hit by a car for the 4th time. The last 2 times he got hit, he broke his neck, broken leg, broken arm, and one time a pelvis. And then you see him and he's nodding out and I'm going to get clean. I'm just medicated now. And it's like, we think we know what somebody's bottom would be. But as I said last year, you absolutely have to be sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you have to have a made up mind. That man I told you about that they found in the woods that had been there for 3 days.
Yeah.
He came over. We do this thing on Saturday. It's called Pizza and Prayer. He came over. We prayed for him, gave him some clothes. He said he was ready for treatment. We went to pick him up on Monday. We loaded him up with more clothes. And he said, oh, no, not today. I got to take care of some business first. He's no longer with us. And that's the cry. It's like the biggest excuse is I got to take care of some business. And we know what that is. It's like, I got to get my fix.
One more time.
Yeah. And it's the last time is the one that really, it's a killer.
Yeah. I mean, nowadays, I mean, the fentanyl stuff is all accidental, overdose, or they consider it poisoning, is what they want to label it as. But it's a very addictive drug. It's just like heroin, except way more deadly. And that's hard to imagine. And it's so cheap and readily available, too.
Well, we have an open border that doesn't help it at all.
Yeah, our beloved open border. We can get into that in a little while. But I want to talk again. I want to talk about your city and you and what you do, and how many people do you think you're kind of encircling right at a time? I mean,
well, just like this past Sunday, I think we might have had for 5 homeless people, and then all the rest of the people, and there was like 21 people. They were just people that want to be a part of it. They're like people that we view ourselves as we're all messed up people struggling to do right, and we just trust God to take control of our lives. We want to encourage the homeless people to do that, so that the Church Without Walls, that group, it could be 5 or 10 people at any given moment. But then we have another community in Middle River. We're a little bit more detached from that, but there's a core group there that we're trying to work with, and there's maybe 5 people there. And then in another community it's called Dundalk, we do we have food donated from the Amish, and we could feed 25 to as many as 130 people. So, like, we have some people say, we're here for the food giveaway. And we quickly correct them. It's not a food giveaway. It's a ministry. We pray for everybody. We say that this is a Christ-based program. Don't smoke, don't cuss, mind your manners when you're coming around here. And they're generally pretty respectful. We have a few drunks every now and then that we have to break up their fights or something. But it's, people want help. They want to know that they're loved. And by and large, they're very, very grateful.
I guess what I'm asking is, no, when you go out into the streets, not who's coming to you, when you're going around, how many people, what kind of size of just in your area alone and things like that do you think you're catering to? I mean, because I don't imagine all the people you go and help come to see you, do they?
Oh, no, no, the majority don't. No,
okay, so about how many people in your area do you think that you're kind of helping to stay alive, so to speak?
I would say probably about 20 directly, because the meals that we do on Saturday, that's not keeping people alive. They're not all homeless. A lot of people are just poor, and they like good hot Amish meal.
But wood.
I don't know. I can't say that we're helping them stay alive, but with food and clothes, or clothing mostly, and tents and things like that, it's again, I have to bring it back to Jesus Christ, because we totally believe we don't do anything on our own. If we can encourage someone to get that spiritual foundation going, then they get this glimmer of hope. And once they taste that hope, then it's easier to guide them toward a recovery program. And we also tell them when you get into recovery, you need to change everything, people, places, and things.
Yeah.
And that's hard for them because every one of them that comes back when they've gone through recovery ends up dead.
Oh, I thought they go right back to where they came from because that's their friends, and
Well, that's what they do. And,
Yeah.
and the funny thing is, Peter, they really believe that they're their friends, but let them get locked up for a couple of days in jail and their tents are cut and their stuff stolen.
Yeah. No
What
loyalty.
little stuff they got, wet clothes.
Yeah.
It's really
So-
tragic, but
It is. So I guess what I'm saying that for you, like who's who are you helping to keep alive? I guess mainly I'm saying that because you are helping them. Like they could perish. I know that if you didn't do a lot of the things you did or do, that they could, even if it is just talking to them and giving them another day of hope or something like that, they could perish more sooner than later. So I that's why I'm just curious, like, I know that you have people that come to you and on Sundays and things like that, but I'm sure that you're out there giving to a lot more people than that are coming to you.
yeah, absolutely. So we had, maybe 3 weeks ago, when we were getting ready for our little Church Without Walls, I looked over and I saw what looked to be a homeless man. I don't know, 800 feet away or so. And I just, I'm going to go talk to him. He looked like a guy from ZZ Top, the long gray beard, only really, really dirty clothes. He told me he's a disabled veteran. He is homeless. He had a good job, but he got severe carpal tunnel. He didn't call in one day because he was in such pain and they let him go. So now he's living in a leaking severely RV. And his son, who a couple of months ago was shot in the head and survived, now has mental issues. And I said, okay, well, listen, here's my card. If you need anything, give me a call. And as he was telling me about his RV, I said, hey, I can buy you a gallon of Henry and get it to you, and we can seal that top up for you. And he said, thank you very much. We're out doing church, and he shows up. And then the next week he comes with his son. And then this week he came again. And he still hasn't taken a single thing from, I think he took some clothes. But I don't know that he was saved, but he was in a desperately lonely situation and he really needed a friend. And that's how Christ uses all of us to the blessing to for us, we feel like we're extremely blessed because we're privileged to be able to do it. And it doesn't matter, it's like people will talk about you behind your back. One time I was, we had a couple that wasn't homeless, but they had been living in their car when we met them. And I was preaching against laziness. And I used examples like, sitting at home, you're collecting disability and you play PlayStation for 5 hours and you can't make your wife a meal when she comes home, nor is the house clean. Well, I did that for 3 weeks in a row and they bolted. They were gone. That's okay. Again, I can't fix anybody or save anybody. I'm going to speak the truth, and the truth hurts sometimes. But most of the guys realize, and not just me, all the people on our team, Grace and Willie and Patricia and Tom and Shirley. I mean, and Stephanie, I could go on and on with them, Gina. These people generally love these people, and they know it. So they feel like, okay, we're part of the same family now. And, just like, I think sometimes we get along better with the homeless than we do our own families.
Well, families are tough. At times, it can be tough. I see all facets of it, from when somebody passes away to taking care of the elderly parents and siblings arguing. I mean, and money issue. I mean, again, I always say, no matter how bad I think, we want to say that I may be, having things. You listen to stories like this and going, God, I can't even imagine that, that version of struggling, and homeless.
Well, the hardest part, Peter, is losing so many people. I mean, like this girl that just died. When I got that news, I got like a GoFundMe for her funeral. That's how I found out about it. And I was just sitting here at home by myself. I just broke down and cried because I love this girl. I've been working with her for 13 years. I've seen her get clean. and I didn't realize how bad she had gotten with this old boyfriend. When you had mentioned fentanyl earlier, but drugs in general, we talked about this last year. And hopefully I'm not going to get you banned. Pharmacy in Greek is pharmakia, and in the Bible, that's witchcraft or sorcery. I believe that it's one of the devil's biggest tools. And how can you not influence people? You control their mind. And when you see, I would say a heroin addict that's hardcore, that's on fentanyl, they're beating themselves physically, slapping themselves, defecating on themselves, laying down. And I mean, it is god awful. But what keeps you going is you get to see the people like Frank that called me Monday and said, I'm on my way to treatment. We get to see them success stories. I've got people living all over the country that used to be homeless, heroin addicts or alcoholics here, and they're clean, they're married, and they got their kids. One couple here, they actually stayed at my house for 3 months a few years ago. They've bought their own home. They have their kids with them now. They are happy people. Doesn't mean they don't have struggles, but they're clean and they got their family, and they give God the glory.
Yeah, that takes a lot. I mean, I'm again, I thank God that I don't have an addictive personality for drugs, but I do see how that latches on, and it won't stop until it pretty much, deletes you and destroys everything around you and everything around you. And the few that can survive it, I'm sure you have way more. I would think that you have way more tragic stories than success stories, but nonetheless, they could all be tragic stories if you weren't out there trying to help and they weren't wanting to try to go straight.
Well, there's a lot of people out there that are trying to help. There's the difference between a lot of the people that are out there is that, like, you have churches that'll go out and they'll do something and it's a feel-good program, but it's not truly spirit-based. I feel like we're led by the Holy Spirit. You know what I mean when I say that, don't you? We're led by God, and we're called to serve. And if we have that servant's heart, then people will respond to that because they want somebody that is honest with them, that is humorous with them. It's like the kid with the broken neck. He was up walking, he looked at me and he laughed and he said, "It's a miracle." How do you respond to that? The guy's been hit by a car 4 times, nodding out on a major highway, and he's joking. But the sad part is, and I talk with a lot of people about this particular guy, is him and his boyfriend are both going to be dead probably before the end of this year, and there's nothing we can do about it. We just keep trying, but we can't fix them. They have to make a choice.
Right. I mean, and when they do, it's not going to be because they intentionally did it. They just think that they can go one more time.
Exactly. I'll never forget, Peter, a bit. 2017, this 24-year-old called me up and he said, I need to get into treatment. And I said, fantastic. He says, well, I'm meeting with the pastor from Helping Up Mission. That's like an 18-month Christ-based program. And he went in. I was so happy for him. And 10 months in, he called me up and he said, "Hey, I left, but you know what? I got what I needed. I'm good." And so I started calling him every week. Peter, from the first week, he was going downhill and downhill. Finally, he called and said, I want to go back in. I got to stay the whole time. I said, fantastic. Went and picked him up. He had to go to the county jail to get his most recent TB shot records. And he said, they won't take me until Sunday, so I'm going to stay at this hotel tonight. I said, okay, I'll pick you up in the morning. One more time. He was dead, 24 years old. We did a funeral for him in a parking lot of the library. 72 people came. 13 people stopped doing drugs that night because they realized they faced their own mortality. they didn't come to Jesus, but I had a message, and it was like, you get choices. He made a choice, and shame on y'all. I get in their face, but they expect that. I'm like a granddad to everybody now.
Look, I could see that, if their friend and they're shocked over that, but even then, I just think they think, well, he screwed up, but I'm not going to screw up. You know what I mean? And that's where they keep going. They may take a little break or lay off or go slower, but little by little, that stuff's just calling your name, and it's all about chasing the buzz.
Yeah, and Peter, for the first 10 years that I did this, it was pretty much a one-man show. But like, there's a local church. It's Perry Hall Family Worship Center. They had me go speak at their church, and they've done a couple of events, and now there are people who are starting to come out and serve on the team or come to the church. It's amazing because you're like building up a team now, and you can reach more people. And my hope is we have a man that's coming to church now that he's going out on outreaches with us, and he used to be their drug dealer. He's
Really?
clean. He's living for God, and he's going out serving now. And I'm hoping and praying that he'll be raised up to be the pastor in the woods.
Wow. That's because I'm just looking here, and William says, being a former addict for 6 years, homeless person, I'm blessed to work with you any way I can be used. So somebody, you've obviously touched somebody. Go ahead.
I paid them to say that. No,
Oh.
no. Well, Willie is he's amazing. He does the worship music. And you would love him, Peter. He's a professional musician, played with multiple bands, played under a lot of big names and stuff. And he still does play in different venues, but every Sunday he comes and plays worship music, and they're mostly songs that he wrote. Here's the deal. If you look at him, you think he's a hippie. He's got long hair. He's got the musician's hat, and it's like the clothes that he wears. That's his persona. And do you know that people gravitate to that? They love him because he does it from the heart. It's so amazing. And that you can have somebody, I think he said recently, I think he's been clean for over 40 years now. That's amazing. So God puts all these people in our path so that they can all serve in different capacities. And it's amazing. We're just so blessed.
I guess, but this is what brings me to it has to come from within, because I can come and volunteer if I was in your area and go, yeah, you know what? I'll come out and I'll volunteer and help you out. But to want to be there, to take your life and literally carve out and make it a point that you're going to not only be there one time, but you're going to be there all the time because you care that much to do what you're doing. That's special. I mean, to me, that's almost, I used to say that about elderly caregivers because it's not easy and you got a lot of bad ones. And I've learned when I was, going through with my parents getting older and things, and it takes a special person to do what you do in different fields. But, easy to show up for a few hours. I could show up and then gotta go. I feel good, but I'm not there.
I think sometimes when people, particularly if they go back in the woods and they experience the brokenness and how they're living, very few people go back to the woods and don't come out of there in tears. Now, I don't cry every time now because I know some of the guys that are back there they're jerks. I still love them. But that's a calling. It's like when you had Cheryl on talking about foster care.
Yeah.
I know, in my foster care upbringing, I had that sense of abandonment, and I think that carried through so that I had a calling for the underdog, and then God just formed it and shaped it. It's a servant's heart, and a true servant's heart only comes from the Lord Jesus Christ. There's a lot of good people out there, and they have good intentions, and they help. I mean, you can clean up a community, you can give out food, but if you're not giving out food with some prayer or with the opportunity to talk to somebody about God, you're just a do-gooder being taken advantage of. And for some people, that's okay. It's like if you're driving, I don't know how many panhandlers you have in California, but here they're everywhere. If you hand a panhandler money, you're enabling their habit, because 10 times out of 10 in this area, they are not going to go and buy a Big Mac. So you get them a meal, or you stop your car and you say, hey, what do you need? I give them my car. I say, give me a call. I'll take care of you. And don't you know, most of the time they won't call me. They got smartphones or government phones. They won't call me because they don't want my help in terms of a tent or socks or something. They want money to get high, period. But when you park your car and go talk to them, it's a different ball game.
Really?
It brings out the truth in them, at least for a little while.
Right. No.
They know that you took the time to stop and talk to them, and that matters.
Yeah. Again, I just, and because now it's coming back to me, because I know we had this conversation last year, because it's all so important and for everybody to understand. But a lot of people, you're pulling up at the car, the guy's on the corner with the sign right there, and he's looking at you. And a lot of people will just keep looking straight. They're going, I don't want to deal with that, and I can't say sometimes I blame them, because we tend to only hear the crazy stories on the news. Like over here, we've had a lot of problems with train stations and things like that. The homeless just attacking people out of nowhere. I mean, really hurting, if not killing somebody. It's just gotten that crazy. Plus our lack of law enforcement due to, defund the police and all that baloney.
Well, politics plays you had mentioned earlier about the state of Baltimore.
Yes.
Baltimore is run by a kid that had no business being in that big city. But just like so many cities across the country that follow a particular political persuasion, they're trash. And when people know, and I see news clips of California all the time, like what you can steal $1,000 worth of stuff and not be held accountable. So they go in but now they'll grab a couple $1,000 and they're still not held accountable.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, we have a real uptick in carjackings here right now. Like my son a few months ago was robbed at gunpoint. They took his car. He was scared to death. He called me up. I went there, and interestingly enough, we prayed for the guy, and then we asked God to let the car not get damaged, and all of his stuff was in there. His wallet, his son's Social Security, his girlfriend's pocketbook stuffed in the door. It happened on a Thursday. On Monday, he got his car back. The front headlight was broke or something. I mean, it was minor damage, but it was like God. And, to a non-believer, they could say, oh, this guy is whacked out. He's super spiritual or something like that. No, I get to see God at work in a lot of different ways. We had a discussion the other night. If somebody puts a gun in your face, you're going to drop your knees and pray? Probably not. I mean, I'm a former Marine. The first thing that's going through my mind is how do I defend myself? And it's probably going to be a swift kick between the legs and a chop over the arm and then twisting the pistol in his face. But my Christ nature tells me to do something else. And that's just say a prayer and say, Lord, protect me. And, Peter, I've had a couple of instances in the woods years ago where one of the guys had guns, and he didn't threaten me. He threatened some of the people back there. And I pretty much said, you got to go. And he did. And when he came back, I said, hey, respect, you got to go. He was a proclaimed killer of drug dealers. And the next day he went to Dundalk, robbed the store, and got 56 bullets put into him in a police shootout. So I don't go back in fear. I go back in covering. I pray before I go back, believing that God is with me in everything I do. And it's almost like a supernatural sense that there is no fear. There's brokenness. I mean, you go back, especially if you go back at night and when it starts snowing, it's like so serene on the path, and then you turn around and you see tents getting ready to collapse or people partying. And then when you go into their tent, they're nodding like, do you need some Narcan?
Wow. Yeah, when you go out into the woods, do you go by yourself or do you always have somebody with you?
Actually, in the daytime, I take Jean. She goes with me. pretty much all the time. In the past, I used to go out at night by myself. I haven't recently, but you know, if I feel led to go and check on somebody, I'll go and do it. I mean, I just don't. The guys know me. Even if there's a stranger, the other guys look out for me. So I just don't worry about it. You know, I think about the way we deal with it because I've been doing it so long. I know the homeless community at large. I don't know them all, but I am known of by them. So they kind of like respect me and leave me alone. They think I'm a good guy. And then I think about the situation in just say San Francisco. It's a totally different ball game.
Right.
When I went to the tunnels in Las Vegas in 2019, 6 days I spent in them tunnels. I had no idea how dangerous they were until I read 2 books after the fact. I didn't have any fear. The ladies that were with me didn't have any fear. We met one wacko out in the daylight, and she ran from me when I said Jesus, because I think she might have been demon possessed.
Wow.
She'd be one to hand over to some of your past guests.
Well, I mean, the thing is, again, that's what I was going to ask you. Do they all kind of know you? Or are you a known entity? But with the changeover, with people dying, new ones come in, it's like, you know, it only takes that one crazy guy. You know, you've heard stories before that it just doesn't matter. He's out of his mind. He does something stupid, and that's that. And it's like another tragic, you know, newscast.
Well, again, going back to how God gives us discernment, there's this one guy in the local community, and he covers about a 5-mile radius. He's very distinctive in his looks. He's mixed race and has sort of reddish afro, and he is completely whacked out. I have never talked to him. I never will. God has not given me release to do that. Couple years ago, under this particular set of railroad tracks, there's a overpass, and I was down there at 9:30 at night going to check on somebody, and he saw me and he jumped up. He was buck naked, and he started running in the snow down the tracks, screaming obscenities. Not because I made him afraid. He was just having one of his bouts. So I mean, I see it every now and then, but I just don't worry about it. I totally trust God. You know, every time you pick up or see a coin on the ground and it says, "In God we trust," I pick it up. I value that, even if it's a penny, because it's a reminder, in God we trust.
I get it. Because I guess your city, you know, this brings me back to Baltimore, because the news picks and chooses what they want to talk about, and they don't want to talk about a lot of things unless they have an agenda. But over the past 6 months, now it's this little bit been a little quiet, but all I heard about was shootings in Baltimore, shootings. How safe do you feel in that city? I mean, you know, I know it matters on the areas that you're in, but in general, how safe do people feel? I mean, about what's going on, because that doesn't help.
So in Baltimore City proper, I avoid it like the plague. I have friends that live in a nice area by the Inner Harbor, and I can get off the highway and cut into there without actually going through the city. And I'll go there every now and then. I need to go to the VA. I'll go you have to drive through some rough areas, but I can drive into underground parking. But where the homeless live on the streets in Baltimore City, I don't have any problem with that at all. I don't worry about shootings. I'm not going to go down and do something on my own. Like the couple main streets that I'll go on that are heavily trafficked, where homeless people live on an island, I would go there. But you pretty much have to be a loose cannon to go trust Baltimore City at night. Carjackings are up. I think they're up 300% over last year. They've had over 3,000 carjackings in the last 6 months.
3,000.
At gunpoint.
Yeah, and that's where people can get killed needlessly because they just pull the trigger either accidentally with the excitement or just they don't care. And so
they had a 72-year-old man in this real posh neighborhood in Baltimore. It's not necessarily posh. It's trendy, though. A lot of the yuppies live there. He's like 72 years old. He's parking his car to come up, pistol whip him, take his keys, and run. And he he's lived in Baltimore his whole life. And when they interviewed him on the news, he says, "I've got to go."
Gang
He's been here
related?
his whole life. He's 72 years old. He says, "I gotta go."
Is it gang related, or I mean, what's the crowd?
Well, I don't know the details, but I know that there's a huge market for stolen cars that they get sent overseas.
Wow. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
if the homeless and the drug addicts aren't stealing the cars, it's just thievery.
Oh no,
I mean-
no, it's not the homeless. No, it's usually guys between 12 and 16 years old.
Wow.
They're. I mean, you think about it. The city kids oftentimes don't have parents, or if they got a mother, she might be 16 years old. And they like, do your thing. I gotta get my my welfare. I'll just use that phrase. I gotta get my check. And if I have another kid, I can get more of a check and some food stamps. And I get my free cable. I get a free phone. I'm good. And the kids, they're running the streets at night. They supposedly put this curfew for 5 or 6 o'clock at night. That's a laugh.
It does boil down to parenting. I mean, I truly believe that at the end of the day, okay, a lot of people do have to work, or I mean, the two different types. But some people just can't be around to be around when they need to be. But a lot of them, it's just bad parenting. It's like, go whatever, it doesn't matter, and just don't get killed. And if you get killed, then they start screaming, "No justice, no peace."
Well, look on the opposite side of that, like with your daughter. Yeah, you got your divorced dad, but you got a daughter that's like an angel. It's because you loved right, and these kids, they're not getting loved. I mean, that's not my calling. I have a hard time with young thugs, and I don't know why drug addicts or people, but no, the city itself is so bad that where I used to go several times a year, like I'll go there Thanksgiving and Christmas because I go with a big church and there's like 150 of us go down and set up tables and do like a Thanksgiving meal or a Christmas meal in the streets and give out a bunch of free clothes. But and that's right in the heart of gangland. But the people, they've been doing it for 40 years, and the neighborhoods respect it. They love it.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a church in Baltimore City called City Beat, and they go out and they do block by block cleanups. They bought a corner store and they've turned it into like a pantry. They're doing amazing things in the city. I told Pastor, I didn't tell him. I think this to Pastor Jared, you're an amazing man that you're calling. God bless you. That I couldn't do that. It's kind of like what you say with us. You say you couldn't do it. Yeah, right. You do what you're called up by God.
Well, that's it. Everybody's got a purpose and a path, and some of the paths just aren't really what you would hope they'd be, but everybody's got a path. Unfortunately, it's part of the process, and you can only do what you can do. I wanted to get into some, just life, but listen, we're running out of time again already, because it is important that we bring awareness to this. I mean, even though you, like the last time I told you, asked you, you said, well, we're doing good. You got lots of donations. The food is being done well. And, it's not necessarily that you're looking for, you're always looking for help, but it's just the fact that people, out of sight, out of mind, I guess, is what I'm trying to say is like, we're all busy in our lives, and there you are, and we see these people every day on a day-to-day basis struggling, but it's got to go. And, sorry, they're probably freaks or something like that.
Yeah. It's, we don't take donations. But what I would encourage everybody to do is in their own communities to somehow try and get involved in it. And I mean, obviously I would like it to be a Christ-based program, but if somebody just needs to feel better about themselves, find a way to serve and to get out there and even if you do it with one person, when they're panhandling, say, hey, God bless you, or park your car, give them a Happy Meal or something, give them a meal. A lot of people here in local churches start carrying blessing bags. They're like this 1 gallon Ziploc bags with a soap, toothpaste, washcloth, some deodorant, just some little things like that with a couple packs of crackers or something. Put a little encouraging card or something in there. This is like, if more people would try to look for the good in these people and let them know they need hope. And that's the one thing that we can all do, whether you're Christ-based or you don't believe, but you just want to be a good person, show people some love and give them some hope.
Yeah, I hear you. Do you think that these blessing bags, let's say there's deodorants or soaps, or do you think a lot of people would actually do that they actually use them? Or do you think that, some people just like when they're homeless, they don't even care about taking care of themselves as best as they can, which is not easy to do?
Well, I can tell you most of them that are given around here are used, because I see all the trash around their camps, because it looks like they're living in a dump, because that's kind of a reflection of what's going on inside of them. It's just like they feel like trash. They have no self-esteem, so they stop caring. But I'll see the wrappers from the blessing bags and stuff. So I do believe that they're being used.
Well,
and more
good.
important, it's not the blessing bag itself. It's the kindness that you're displaying, the love that you're showing them with no strings attached. That really would make a difference.
Right. I get you. There's something I like, where is it? There was, do you have some people that have like been around and have defied death and are still around with you, that have been around for years? Do you have some of that?
Yep.
Because here, let me show you a picture. This is the picture that we found, and I think that I saw a post that said, contrary to belief, I can't remember what name it was, Tank or something like that. Is this a man that is still with? Is he still with you?
Yeah, that's Tex in Dundalk. He
Tex.
a few years ago, he was walking around, but he's a severe alcoholic, but he's in a wheelchair, and he disappeared for about 6 months, and everybody said he was dead. Well, anytime I hear a rumor about that, I don't buy into it, because homeless people, if somebody's gone, they just assume that, and they popped up. But we had locally, I have 5 guys that I've known for about 10 years that are gone, and I know they're dead. Like this one guy, Wheels, they took off his foot, then they took off his left leg, then they took off his right foot, then up to the knee, then the right. Next thing you know, last time I saw him, he's in a wheelchair, no legs.
Where's he going to go?
He's gone. He's no longer here. He just,
right.
But it's interesting, because if you said about God to him, I talk to the man upstairs every day. Yeah, that's not quite enough, brother. The one thing about having a Christ-based program is that part of that is that you need to change your behavior. In a spiritual sense, it's repent, but it's okay. I'm messed up. Let me turn from my sin and go in a godly direction. And even if you're not Christ-based, if you can train somebody to go into a different direction, that's kind of what we are. We're stewards of God's time to step into somebody's life, and do an intervention. We can't do like that show on TV they used to have. We can't quite get in their face like that, but we can encourage them and guide them and intervene in that regard. And I'm relentless with some of these people.
Well,
I know you see the good side. I get in their face. And,
you've been doing it long enough. You should know, because, I'm sure that they try to con you left and right. I mean, people think that they can get over and just, take what they can get. And if you could turn them around and it's like, hey, I don't play that, but I still will be here for you. That's you. I mean, a lot of people say, screw this, I'm out. Yep. Wow. Wow. Look, God bless it. Again, always running out of time, and I told you, I said, this time we're going to talk about what's going on around us and things like that. But yet there's
never
still
got to it.
well, there's so much. This is important. I think it is, because it's what you do. Which there's many people out there that do it, but it's so I don't want to say underappreciated, but just not thought about enough. I think it's a very low profile gig that you're just flying under the radar and nobody pays attention.
But there's this song by Casting Crowns, and I love it. It says, I'm just a nobody trying to tell everybody about somebody that saved my soul. And that's kind of like my life mantra,
Well, look, I mean, everybody has a path and a calling, and silly me, I said, because when I'm talking with my daughter, because, I said, I have to do this. I have to do this. And I rather die trying than knowing that I went to some stupid job that I can't stand just to survive and not knowing whether I could have completed my task and done it. I said, plus I'm not that bad at it. I know entertainment. I've been in it my whole life, but I changed horses in the middle of the stream, so to speak. But this is my path. And to me, this is my way of giving, because I know I'm not that good. I'm not you. I'm not anybody else. I'm just me. So I'm trying to use it and put it towards something. We did a show not too long ago on a girl that I had on alcoholism. She's an alcoholic for 30 years.
Yep.
So all these little stories, I just figure, yes, do my, talking about the fires of Maui, because that was tragic. Does that draw a lot of attention and controversy so people can call me names and tell me what an idiot I am? Yes, it does. Do as many people pay attention maybe to what we're doing today? I'm not really sure, but I just always said, if we just reach one, if one says, hey, God, that, there is hope.
One of the greatest testimonies or testaments about what you do, Peter, is a few years ago, you were telling your daughter about this ministry and she encouraged you to do it. That says volumes about you, that she would be encouraged to do that, to encourage you. You're blessed.
She's not normal in a good way. I'm just telling you, there's an old soul in there. And, I don't like to keep talking about my daughter, but she is my guiding light now. I mean, I do everything, and I've done a lot of things I gave up a lot of things to be that guy, and I don't need a pat on the back or anything. It's just the way I'm wired. So lots of people were like, when my parents were taking ill, they're going, you need to go back home. Your parents need you. And I'm going, I have a 3-year-old that needs me too. I swore I was not going to, she's going to have balance. And, and it just worked out the way it did, but she's got something. It's not all me. Yes, I do things, but it takes two, just like you. You can only do what you can do. It's got to come from the other side as well. I just got lucky. I mean, or blessed, or I'll take it all, but she has a different way of looking at things. I'm screaming and ripping my hair out, and she goes, Dad, it's okay. It's just, this is the way it is. And I have problems with somebody. She goes, you just got to let so-and-so be so-and-so. And I'm hearing that at the time from my 15-year-old now or whatever, so she's not normal, and I'll take it. I'll take it, but it's a struggle. Even this show, it's an ongoing, we have this conversation. Perception is one thing, it's not always right. Like, I am not, getting out of here and jumping into my Maserati and then going and having dinner with friends. And, you talked about having a Big Mac meal, giving, to somebody. It's like, do you know how much, over here, how much a Big Mac meal costs at McDonald's?
No idea.
I think it's $14 to $16.
Wow. That's insane.
Even the poor can't afford that. So how do you go out and eat? Everybody is struggling. So I just look at it. It's like, yeah, in my opinion, I'm striving because I'm striving for bigger things. But I'm grateful. I mean, I don't know. Somebody's got it way worse than me, and lots of people in other places. Although, I feel like my struggle is just as real as anybody else's. But I am just, at the end of the day, I give thanks, a million times.
Amen, brother.
All right, look. I thank you for that little. Again, every day, my people get on to me because I'm so busy with this show that they go, man, you don't call me no more. You don't do this. I go, I'm busy. And I told my daughter, I said, the only person I really call to make sure every day, because I don't have you every day, is you to make sure we're keeping on the straight and narrow. Which, again, I'm very blessed for a child her age. When I was her age, it was a different time, but man, there was a lot more crazy stuff going on, and my parents just dealt with it. And that's why, I thank my parents for putting up with me, but we're all here. Anything else you want to leave behind, a thought, a process, anything before we go?
Any of your, some of your followers or friends of mine on Facebook, my Facebook profile, which was Pastor Ray Poellot, was hijacked. So you can friend request me at just Ray Poellot on Facebook, and that'll come through.
Yeah, you know what? I forgot to ask you about anything about that, like that. If there was anything I could do for you to to help that you want to promote, and I forgot, and now you're reminding me. And it's like, but people, Facebook is basically where you. Sorry, I'm typing right now. To do this, Facebook is basically where everybody can find you.
Yeah, it's like I lost 13 years of memories on there or posts, but I'll rebuild it and get it back up again.
Okay, so let me see if I can do this real quick. On Facebook. Just a quickie. Okay, so if they want to find you, they can find you. Just look for, that's how you spell your name. And I'm sorry for the lower cases, I forgot. Poellot on Facebook. That's now your old name on Facebook was Pastor Ray Poellot, correct?
Yeah, and if you were a friend on there, I would encourage you to block it, because I don't know who hijacked it, and they took away all my access.
And they're both up there. Both the Ray Poellot's up there and the Pastor Ray Poellot's up there. But I noticed, because of now that you're on the show, that you have the exact same picture on your new one. I
put it on there just so that people would be familiar. I'll probably change it though.
I would change it to another good-looking picture of yours, because that way they can discern the difference between the two pages.
Oh, so you are spiritual. You're looking for a miracle.
Yeah. Hey, listen, whatever it takes. I always say that, the best defense I have is distance, because, and when people say, yeah, you're doing a lot of people I meet, they go, you look different off of TV. And it's like, there's makeup, there's lights. It's, it's the way it is. I'm sorry, but I'm as God made me. It is what it is. But, But yeah, if you want to find Pastor Ray, it's not under Pastor Ray, although there's a Facebook page that says Pastor Ray. That one got hijacked. I wish you could get it off of there, so that way people won't be confused for it. But at least change your picture, and then see if you can write on it. Say, this is my only profile, and some way or
good
shape.
idea. Yep.
Because even when you contacted me to recontact you, I questioned it, because there's so many fishy games going on nowadays.
Yep.
All right, that's it. So again, I thank you for giving me your yearly appearance, and helping to tell everyone, about the homeless situation, because I'm sure it goes on in every city. It's basically the same, give or take the climate. I mean, Lord knows we have so many issues here in California. The only time they clean something up is if there's an event going on near there, and then politics gets involved, and then they completely, like before the Super Bowl last year when it was at SoFi, they cleaned up that whole area within days, because
amazing how that works.
It is amazing, isn't it? Yes. Anyway,
hey,
listen,
happy Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas, my friend.
Thank you. And you know what? Before I forget, I want to wish you a happy Veterans Day, which is this weekend as well.
Thank you. The Marine Corps birthday is the 10th.
The 10th. Okay, well, because I saw that. So Friday is, I couldn't tell because it said Veterans Day on Friday and Saturday, and I didn't know whether they were just celebrating it on Friday because Saturday is the weekend. So,
got me.
Well, either way, it's Veterans Day and Marine Corps' birthday, and I have a lot of friends that are former Marines, and it means a lot. I know the bond. But thank you again. I love you for giving me the time and sharing with my audience, because I do know they pay attention, and they're paying more and more attention. So again, wave to everybody, and we'll talk soon. Okay.
All right, love you all. Bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, one big last look right there of Pastor Ray Poellot. You can find him on Facebook under Ray Poellot. Right, 2 thumbs up. And for hearing his story, and he's always posting stuff about his church without walls and things like that. So again, stay warm. It's going to start getting cold.
All right, Peter. God bless.
All right, I love you. Thank you.
Love you. Bye.
There we go. And there we go. Let's see what we got here. Hang on. He always has a good story. Time out. Woo! Smooth. Pastor Ray Poellot. The reason I put him on every year, and I could, I have lots of guests and things like that, but the weather starts getting cold over there. That's what really hit me first. And he's right. He remembers things that I don't remember. He reminded me, because at the time when I was just thinking about putting him on, this was a few years ago, I was going to put him on near Christmas, because I do a lot of segments as we get into the holidays about getting through the holidays, people with problems, people with issues, family, loss of a loved one, divorces, all the above, not having anybody, being alone. And I was going to put him on during, like, get him closer to Christmas or closer to Thanksgiving, like, like the night before Thanksgiving, because at the time they were needing money for blankets and heaters to give to these people that are living out in the snow. And my daughter says, well, why are you waiting so long to do it? I said, well, it's getting, to get it close to the holidays. He says, but by then they're in the dead of winter. Wouldn't you want to kind of like do it earlier? This was like 15-year-old talking to me. Again, this is why it's hard for me to not be so drawn to her when I see so much wisdom in a child. Then it's like, who the hell are you? I mean, she's just a person, but it just makes it even more special for me to be a father to her. And she's like, wouldn't you want to? So that she's the one who got me to bring him on at the beginning of November, which was even last year. I think it was like November 1st I put him on, and before it started getting really cold and snow. But he always has a great story to tell, truth to tell, and I just feel it's needed to be talked about to kind of bring awareness. And I think that's where this show really shines the most. Entertainment with a purpose. Yes, we do some pretty dumb stuff at times, and sometimes I get pretty heated and talk about some things that get me suspended and blocked and shows taken down, but I feel they're important. I also feel we got to laugh once in a while too. And for the impatient ones who sometimes yell at me for not getting straight to the point, because they don't understand that I'm running an hour plus show, God bless them. Just it is what it is. You can't please everybody. But I do thank you for all of you that tune in and that pay attention and that let me know. I mean, again, it's very appreciated because I know it's not easy to follow. You have to make time. Speaking of making time, let's not forget next week. Next week, entrepreneur, mentor, motivational speaker, and author of an Amazon bestseller, Breaking Why: Hacking and Rebuilding Strategic Emotions for Authentic Success. Mr. Frankie Russo is going to be on the show. He's a real good motivational speaker. Again, I was referred to him through somebody who was going through recovery and things like that, and he saved him, and he speaks so highly of this guy. And I had a brief conversation with Frankie not too long ago, and you can just tell we just started talking easily within the first sentence. So he communicates well. I urge you to tune in next Wednesday, November 15th, for motivational speaker, author, mentor, entrepreneur, Mr. Frankie Russo. We're going to talk about his book, and we're going to talk about what his history is and what he does and how he does it. So please tune in. Don't forget, please subscribe at multiple places in case they take me down somewhere. At least you can find me other places: YouTube, the official Facebook Peter G Show, LinkedIn, Rumble, Twitter, X. We even live streamed to X, even though I'm still having a hard time getting traction over there. But again, we just keep moving forward. If you're too busy to watch the show, take an earbud, put an earbud in your ear, Google Peter G Show podcast. It's real simple. Listening to the show versus watching it, I prefer you watch it, but believe me, I understand. You're driving, you're at work. Listen to the podcast. It's the next best thing to be in there, and I thank you for making the effort. It's worth it. There's over 300 shows and growing. We're talking about all kinds of things. One thing may tickle your fancy more than the other, but there's always something out there for everybody, I think. Even the naysayers, because even the haters love to at least comment, tell me, how much they hate what I'm saying, but yet they go out of their way and they keep on watching. So, love you. All right, that's it. I want to leave you with my final word, as I always do. Be kind. We are entering the holidays. I want to start talking about the holidays. I mean, just life is tough, and I might take December and really just open the phones and let people, speak their minds. But life is a bitch, and God knows it's getting tougher and tougher, and it's expensive, and I don't know how people are making it. I really don't. If you can't go to McDonald's, you got to spend $16 to $18 for one stupid little, and Big Macs aren't even Big Macs no more. They're these little bitty dinky things. I don't know how you afford it. I don't know how you afford it, but all I can say is you just got to keep on going, but don't bark, don't be an ass. You don't have to take a lot of crap from people, but take a breath before you bark. And because words are hateful too, and a lot of times you regret saying things, but life is short, and but it's worth living. And I just say, just be kind. Okay, that's all. Thank you for watching the Peter G Show. Life of Peter G, the Peter G Show, every Wednesday like clockwork, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, and 9 p.m. on the East Coast, right here, God willing. All right? I love you guys. So, peace out.
Peter G Show, Peter G Show, divorced dad, single dad.